Hey guys, so I had a comment earlier today about Arrma versus Traxxas and the answer or the question that's never answered, durability test. Let me tell you something. I have both Arrma, Traxxas, Axial, HPX, WL Toys. I have a lot of cars. I mean, not as many as some, but enough that I can give you a comprehensive review on everything I have with that brand. Minus WL Toys because that's a custom build. That's not going to be a factory test other than maybe the suspension and chassis. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So to tell you what I'm talking about here, you can see I've got the Arrma, I've got the Traxxas, I've got the Axial, I got the HPX, and that's a WL Toys. That's a hobby wing system that's going in the WL Toys. So again, this is not technically a WL Toys. This is a custom build. So, and I've also got these cars here. That's a TRX4. That's another Axial, Traxxas, Arrma, Traxxas, and I don't even know what brand that is. That's a cheap car that I bought and built. It's a kit car. And then there's another Arrma. I've got another Traxxas there. I've got so many remotes and tires and bodies and parts and everything imaginable for these cars. Oh, that's what that is. That's a ZD racing car. And I have parts for the ZD racing car right there. So to give you my brief, and I have a red cat. I have enough here to give you a comprehensive review on everything that I've got. Somebody said quality, to compare these two for quality, the Traxxas versus the Arrma, they think the Traxxas is better quality. In some instances, absolutely, that is right. In my experience, that is wrong. That quality, specifically this car, that's the reason why I grabbed these two, because to compare the Arrma to the Traxxas, the Rustler to the Vortex, that car was garbage out of the box, constantly overheating. People said, well, you're using the high-speed gearing, so it's going to overheat quickly. You need to gear it back down, and it's good to go. Well, yes, but this also has the high-speed gearing and it doesn't overheat. I don't have a single issue. The only issue I've had out of that is a steering servo and a battery issue, but not a car issue. I've had a rear tire fall off, but that was a simple screw. This here, to fix this, was a whole entire power system. That has a Hobby Wing Max 10 in it, and guess what? It doesn't overheat now. If you ask me, Traxxas, that was a poor design. They should have done better cooling. I don't know, something to make that better. I think the brushless system they put in there was too small for how much it pushes with the four-wheel drive. I have overheating problems with it. Your personal experience may be different. And when I was having that overheating problem, it wasn't 90 degrees out. It was like 65, 70. That was in March. This here, I'm running in 90-degree weather and it doesn't overheat. It doesn't have a single issue. To compare it to this, that's uncomparable. One, that's a beast. I've broken it in half. The only thing I don't like about it is that the tires from the factory, I've had nothing but problems with them. Your experience may be different, but I've had nothing but problems. I think I have 4 sets of tires for it in 3 months. Keep blowing the sidewalls off of them. And I'm doing absolutely nothing different with it now with these Proline tires on it, and these do not blow off the wheel. Compared to the Traxxas tires, garbage. Now, here's a Traxxas TRX4. If I compare that to my Red Cat, which in one of my videos I did, that thing's a beast right out of the box, no issues. I think that dollar for dollar is 10 times better than any Red Cat. I think it's better than an Axial SCX 10.3 as well. The SCX 24 compared to that, there is no comparison. Um, you know, the Rustler versus the Bandit, I mean, they're the same thing. One's a little bit bigger than the other as far as tires go. I made this brushless with the Rustler 4x4 power system, and guess what? It doesn't overheat in there. So do I think it was a junk system? No, I just think that is too small of a system for the 4x4. The Creighton, I love that thing. I think it's awesome. The only time I've had an issue with it was with the tires, and that was an accident. It wasn't their fault, it was mine. It got hung up in the weeds. I thought I could get it out. Instead of walking, 300 yards to get it, I tried to spin the tires fast enough to get it out, and it blew a tire out. That's my fault, not Arrma's fault. And another thing that these Arrmas, this particular Arrma has that Traxxas doesn't, is little rubber boots, if you want to call them that, on the shock shafts. It keeps dirt, dust, and debris from getting on the rubber wipers for the oil. So, and that's something Traxxas doesn't do. So you can look at the X-Max, it's just a bare shock. Another thing Arrma does that Traxxas doesn't do from the factory is it comes with shock protectors. This doesn't. And if you look at the Vortex compared to the Rustler 4x4, that's way beefier. In my experience, my personal experience, this is my opinion and my opinion only. Yours may differ. Arrma, at least this one here, is 10 times better than that Rustler, and it's about $100 cheaper. Now, want to compare these two? They're about the same price. That's no comparison to that. There's not as many upgrades on this compared to that. This you can do whatever you want with. That's kind of what it is. I mean, it's an HPX Devastator, the WL Toys. Once again, I have nothing to compare that to because I've never ran it. I just pulled it out of the box, and I've got, like I said, that power system to throw in it. If you want to talk about Traxxas batteries versus other brands, I think Traxxas batteries are wonderful, but I think they're on the expensive side compared to, well, here, let's take a look. This 4S LiPo from Traxxas, I believe, is $150. This 3S LiPo from HRB is like $40, maybe $50. And I've never had an issue with either one of them. Now you want to go down here to the Zop Power batteries. These are all my dead LiPos. They're junk. I don't like them. I won't buy another one. They puff, they lose their cells, and then they're done. They're like a week old, maybe 2 weeks old. Now if you want to compare this Red Cat to anything I have crawler wise, you really can't, because again, that's a custom build. There's really nothing Red Cat under it. But I can give you an honest review versus Traxxas motors, versus Castle motors, versus Hobbywing, versus the Spectrum Firma motors. This Hobbywing system right here is the same thing that is in my Rustler. I love it. I think it's a great option. This Spectrum motor, I think, is awesome in certain applications. I think if you put that in that infraction, I don't think it's a good option. Not for if you're just going to put it on the 15 tooth pinion. I think it's a great option. If you want to go faster, I think it's a bad option. I don't think it has enough to power it. I think it just overheats too fast. Now, and this thing here, which is coming up in a video here in probably 3 or 4 days from the time I release this video, I can show you this. This has a Hobbywing system in it. As I explained in the one video that explains all of this, I did it because I felt like it. There was nothing wrong with this power system. This power system and this application wasn't a good fit. It doesn't have the power that the original system had, even though I thought that would have more. And that's a Max 8 system. So in this application, I don't like Hobbywing. I like the factory system because I never had a problem with it. In this application, the factory Traxxas motor has never let me down. It's been good. With this one here, you can see it still has the factory brushed motor. That's fine. Never had an issue. That has a factory brushed motor. This has a factory Traxxas motor. This has a Race Star motor in it, by the way. These Race Star motors for the application, for what I did with it, blew my mind for as cheap as that was. That has a factory motor in it. That's a complete Hobbywing system. That has a factory power system in it. Oh, and that's another thing. Let's talk about ESCs. When have you seen a manufacturer, Arrma, Traxxas, WL Toys, Axial, Devastator, Red Cat, I don't know, ZD Racing. Okay, I can't use ZD Racing because their drift car that's being extremely popular right now is not, from what I understand, not that great of an ESC. It seems to burn out. But all the Arrmas, with the exception of that one's my fault, not Arrma's fault. All the ESCs and all these cars, the only one I've had to replace within days of purchasing, not weeks, not months, days, the Traxxas. The X-Max Day 3, had to get a new ESC. It has a Max 6 ESC in it. No problems with that one. This one here, overheating problem, got rid of it, put a hobby wing in it. This one here still has a factory Traxxas ESC and motor in it, but it has problems too. It doesn't power on and off by the button. I downloaded a thing on my phone for the link, the Traxxas link or whatever they call it, so you can do telemetry on it, and it did an update to the ESC. Never worked right since. So they all have their pros and cons, but for me, bang for the buck, one that you don't have to do so many modifications to make it so durable you almost don't have to do anything to it, would be an Arrma, in my opinion. Now this one here, I mean, you're probably going to bend a chassis on. That's where Traxxas, especially the X-Max, I mean, you don't bend chassis, you'll break them if you hit hard enough. Took that one out yesterday and probably got it 20 feet in the air, and I missed the landing and landed on that wheel. Didn't break anything. If I would have done it with that, I probably would have bent a chassis or broken arm. But this has RPM arms on it too. This has, everything is bone stock minus the power system. The Rustler has RPM shock tower on it, and a Rustler 4x4 drive shaft, and a stock drive shaft. That Bandit has an RPM shock tower on it. I think that's about it. Now if you want to talk about stock tires, Traxxas stock tires, even on the Erevo, I've had nothing but problems with them. They sidewall split, and I've put in a ton of differentials in these. This thing here has just been problem after problem after problem. You'll probably see this in 6 months sitting right there because I'm tired of fixing it. So I might fix it one more time and just make it a shelf queen. I don't know. But that's been my most problematic RC I've ever owned. And it's a Traxxas. That's actually the reason why I quit buying Traxxas, is because when I called Traxxas when I had a problem with it, they had zero help. When I melted an ESC in that, I called Horizon Hobby, asked no questions other than what happened, and they sent me out a brand new ESC for free. This one here, when it had an ESC problem, I called Traxxas on it. It was only 3 days old. I sent them all the receipts, all the paperwork on it, and they wanted me to pull every electronic item out of it. They wanted me to pull the motor, the ESC, the receiver, and the servo, and send it to them. And they said they'd get back to me on if there was a warrantable issue. Well, I didn't like that answer, so I just went ahead and bought a Max 6, and guess what? No issues since then. So clearly it was an ESC problem. That's well known in this community. Everybody knows these have ESC problems. They all have their problems. They all have their positives. They all have good and bad. It's go buy what you want to buy. If you ask me for my opinion, I'm going to give you my honest opinion. I'm not going to steer you wrong, but I'm also not going to make a certain brand out to be better than the other. I'm not a Traxxas fanboy. I'm not an Arrma fanboy. I'm not an Axial fanboy. I'm not an anything fanboy. I have a bunch of RCs and I like to have fun. If they break, I fix them. If they have a problem, I try to fix it, and I keep going until I make it what I want it to be. Guys, so long of the short is, you can compare all day long. The guy is right. It is the question that is never answered. So guys, long story short, buy what you like. If it makes you happy and it puts a smile on your face, you're doing it right. Who cares what anybody else says? We're out here to have fun. We're out here to do what we want. I'm doing this as a hobby that I enjoy. None of this stuff is paid for me. None of this is sponsored. Nothing. All this is out of my own wallet, hard-earned money. And I do this on video to give you guys something to look at, maybe laugh at, maybe have a good time, and hope you guys keep watching, and hopefully you guys subscribe. Because at the end of the day, I'm doing it for me. And you. That's why we put it on video. The only difference is I have maybe a few more cars than the average guy. But again, I do this for you. I review stuff. I build things. I show you stuff. And I show you mistakes. I make the mistakes so you don't have to. I break things and we find the breaking point of them. And I take the chance on cheap stuff and expensive stuff and see what happens. Speaking of expensive stuff, like that thing there is not cheap anymore. It wasn't cheap out of the box anyway, but now it's far from cheap. I've actually got something really cool coming with that. If you've watched the video that I just put out of this thing when I was doing my speed runs with the new power system in it, then you already seen what was really cool about it. But now I've got something even cooler coming for it. I'll tell you in the video. I can't tell you it all now or you won't watch it, right? So, and I've got all these really cool bodies that I want to do. That one's a extra body for the TRX4, but I got these bodies I want to put crawlers under. I've got a few bodies over here. I want to build some race cars, some like a drift car or something. And I've got this really weird body somebody gave me for free. It's kind of coming apart, but I don't know what maybe a drag car. I don't know. I don't know what I want to do with it yet. But guys, long story short, just keep watching if you like what you see. And if you have a suggestion, please drop a comment. Let me know what you think. That's why I do these videos, to hear what you guys say. Maybe there's something you want to see, and maybe I can get it and make it happen. But until then, guys, I'll see you next time.